Hi everyone, this is Ray. I'm gonna be speaking in English because I want to, let's say, in respect of the students that we have here. My name is Ray. I come from Qendra Mardënie. Qendra Mardënie, an English Relationship Center, is an NGO that's focused on urban planning, but with a lens of, from the perspective of a child and their caregivers. So we're going to talk about today we're going to talk about Tirana Streets Program, which is a program that we have been implementing in the past 2 years with the colleagues that I am lucky to have on the panel today, Martin from GIZ and Frida. So, building childhood health equitably through access to play. Why are we talking about play here? Because active mobility for children is actually equal to play. Having access to play, they will be, let's say, growing into adults that will be more active and have more equal opportunities later in life. This is a daily picture that we see in my neighborhood every morning, but not only. Maybe all over the city, in schools, we will encounter this picture in the morning. It's kids, it's parents, it's grandparents, it's brothers or sisters taking kids or picking them up from school. But what do we see? The cars, there are like less of them, but they're taking up more of the space. 4 years ago, we did a survey at QM, and we asked up to 450 parents of preschoolers about their closest play area to home. So the responses are 62% the street in front of home, and the responses that actually matter the most, which is public playground and public park, which should be available to everyone, are actually the ones that they have furthest from home. And when you, the picture on the other side is completely reversed. Where do they prefer your child to play? I'm a parent myself. Of course, I would prefer that my kid plays in the public park and they play in the public playground. And only 5% would prefer that they play in the street in front of home, which is actually the closest. But why is this? Because the streets, as we saw in the first picture, are actually a source of danger for children, a source of danger for their caregivers. In Albania, compared to the EU, 44% of road fatalities are pedestrians. So the street is not a safe space for us as pedestrians, for our children either. It's an environment that's taken over by cars. So what else does this bring for our kids, for our smallest ones? A staggering level of obesity that has surpassed even the US in the past year. 16% of kids aged 0 to 5 are now obese in the country. And a main reason for this is lack of active play options when they're 0 to 5, which is the way they're a main way or source that will allow them to thrive, but also be physically active, which is what we're talking about today. So why is this relevant? Why do we as planners focus on kids? Because in the 3 first years of their life, children or their access to public space, to quality public space, to play, not only playing in the in a paid coffee shop which offers play options, or not only play on your mobile phone, will actually determine how they will develop later in life. So as we can see, if we have early access to quality play, better mental health for the caregivers, which is actually a result of having better options and better access for your kid, kids that are exposed to storytelling, to singing, to reading, will actually, in turn, perform better later in life. So how do we fix that? Not by offering them just play at the downstairs bar, but by talking about schools. Why are we talking about schools? The city of Tirana, if we talk about a 300-meter radius and a walking distance from each neighborhood park that we have in the city, we will have the first picture, the coverage of the first picture. But the city is growing every day, it's big. So if we think about schools as parks, because schools have huge schoolyards in which kids spend most of their day, we're going to have a much better coverage. Like, this is double down, actually. And why do we talk about schools again? Schools are coming up. Because schools are one of the best geographically dispersed utility in the city. They are in every neighborhood, and every one of us has, like, let's say, a landmark in their neighborhood, which is their school. The school they went to, the school their brother went to, or maybe the school their neighbor went to. So if we talk about combining school streets with the possibility of making schoolyards green and open to the public, we will have a continuous network, not only of school streets, but also public parks that are accessible through the school streets. We're having a glitch, because I want to show you two examples. This is near the Osman Widerizi school, and this was the picture a couple of months ago. There is a sidewalk behind those white cars there, but we can't even see it, let alone use it or walk in it freely and enjoy it. This was the view, the aerial view. So again, we have like up to 20 cars and we have an empty sidewalk. What did QM do in cooperation with our partners here, as I mentioned before? We extended the pedestrian area by 250 square meters into this. This was such a, let's say, a small step. We placed bollards that circle the area, the white area, which is now pedestrian, and look at the big change that it made. We now only have 9 cars from what was before 20 of them, and plenty of kids and children that are playing. And this is just a corner in a school street in a neighborhood of Tirana that is fully residential and packed with cars. Imagine if we extend this to all the 63 schools of the city. We would have like an overnight change and an overnight, or let's say 60 overnight parks coming up in your town, in your, just a walk away from your home. What are they doing? They're playing with anything you give them. We just give them space. They will bring a rope and play. We give them bollards or a table, and they will make it into a sitting area and a social sitting. They will make it into a dinner. They will make it into a play pretend. This is one of our favorite pictures at the office, and mine too. It's Edith Durham School. It's a school near a very dense area, maybe the densest area in the city. This is a year ago, in July. The school street at Edith Durham hosts like 1,200 kids. And the school street had a sidewalk of 2 meters, and a stroller barely could fit in there. So if I was strolling around with my kid in this neighborhood, I would avoid walking into the street and maybe walk into the asphalt. And now we held a party, we call it a street party, and it's simply closing the street and not giving access to cars for just a little while. And we have this picture that came up from that. And a colleague of mine once said, is fun the key to scaling this project or school streets in the city? We see the kids here are having the time of their lives, and this is obvious for anyone. So it's the answer comes easy. What do you choose? We choose to add pedestrian area and fix the sidewalk for all the caregivers, the walkers, the passers-by, the grandparents waiting, the kids coming out of the school. In the first picture, we see where we held that party. We barely moved the cars out, and still the kids were thriving and having the time of their lives. And now, in the right picture, we see 350 square meters added of pedestrian area. that kids now can freely use, and we see that they are sitting outside, even though only 5% of them or 2 prefer to play at the street below their house. Actually, if you give them a good quality street, they will sit there in groups. These are grandparents waiting for kids to go out, and this is also one of the dearest pictures that I can think of. The street now has transformed this whole neighborhood into a safe sitting space, a space to gather kids, to watch your peers as they go out of the school, maybe wait a little earlier than they're going out of the school, maybe sit together and play, or sit after school and when you don't know where to go because you're not old enough to go sit in coffee shops, etc. So, what is the Tirana School Street Program? It's actually this, just adding more space for people, and they can walk, play, sit, enjoy, socialize, and do anything they want there. People will just thrive if we dedicate space to them and not the metal box that is behind them, the car. Thank you.